Today I'm going to show you how to turn a basic video recording from this to something like this using an effect in Adobe Premiere Pro. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Let's get straight into the video. The first thing you want to do is go to your effects panel and search up basic 3D, and you want to just drag it onto your clip. It should be under effect controls. If you don't see this, it should be under window effects control right here. You'll have three options essentially: swivel, tilt, and distance to image. With swivel, you'll be able to move your video left to right. Tilt goes up and down, and distance basically goes in and out. So actually applying this effect doesn't do anything. You actually have to toggle keyframes and actually create an animation, which isn't actually that hard. So the first thing we're going to do is set keyframes, or click this stopwatch for every single one of these settings, and we just want to move it to the beginning. So basically at the beginning, we start at 0 degrees, and then at the end point, we want to have a different set of settings. So I'm just going to adjust the settings to my liking. So for example, we're going to probably tilt it this way and tilt it downward a little bit. And then I'm going to move this to the end. So if we play this, you can see how this looks like. It's actually very slow because this animation is taking the whole 1 minute that this recording is. So if we wanted to speed up this animation, we would move it a little bit closer. You might notice that there is a black background, so you will have to compensate by adjusting the distance to image, or you can also just scale it in as well. So in this case, I would use the position, scale, and rotation in order to adjust the positioning. So I'm gonna just scale in and move the position. And so now you can see how this looks like. We don't see any black background throughout this, but it still is a little bit too slow. So I'm gonna move it a little bit forward. So now this is a little bit better. After applying the basic keyframes, I would recommend toggling on this setting, which is show specular highlight, as it adds this sort of lighting effect onto your screen recording, which is essentially artificial light. So as we play this and it tilts, it moves according to how your clip moves. So this is actually really nice, and it looks like you're actually recording a physical monitor, which is really great. So now that we're done creating the basic movement for this effect, I'm going to show you some additional effects you can add on top of this so that it looks a little bit more realistic and a little bit better. So there's two different effects I would possibly add on top of this. One is any sort of blur, but in this case, I'll use Gaussian blur. We want to drag it onto our clip. And this is great if you want to emphasize a certain part of your video, or you just want it for stylistic purposes. You want to make sure that blur dimensions is set at horizontal and vertical. And then you want to enable the strength of blur. In this case, we're not going to go too strong because I don't want it to look fake. After we're done that, you can see that the whole video is sort of blurry, but I really only want the edges to be blurry. So we can create an ellipse mask right here, and we can invert it. So now you can see everything in the circle isn't blurry, but everything outside is blurry. We're going to expand this mask, and we want to center it. And we essentially want to make this oval shape so that essentially only the middle portion is not blurry and the rest is blurry. What you'll notice when we zoom in is this blur. So you want to go over to mask feather and increase it. This way that hard edge goes away and it seems a little bit more natural. You can also increase the blurriness if you want to make this a little bit more visible, but that isn't necessary. You can also add something like lens distortion so that the screen doesn't seem so perfect. So we can slightly curve it either inward or outward. I would prefer outward so you can see the edges of the screen, but you can go either way with this. You can also curve it inward, but if you do this, you do want to scale in a little bit so that there's no black background. But yeah, that's essentially it for this tutorial. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to check out more Premiere Pro tutorials, make sure to check the playlist in the end screen, as well as the link in the description.